Hey Geo, how you doing, man? You okay?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good out here in Oceanside, California, relaxing before class.
Nice, nice. One of the main reasons I wanted to speak to you now was obviously because you've got that pretty big match coming up now on UFC Fight Pass Invitational with Mikey Musumeci.
Yeah,
This will be the third time you faced each other now, and
second time.
oh, second time. Sorry, yeah, of course, the Road to ADCC event, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we were supposed to have another match a few times, but it's been pushed around a little bit. You know, what I mean, hopped around a little bit from different events, from different times and different weight. But hopefully, this one goes through, and I know it's gonna happen. I just wanted to, the UFC's always kind of they're like, oh, we're gonna push it for another month or another month here and there. They kind of been doing that. I haven't announced it, but I know about this match for like the last like 6 months, 7 months. You know what I mean? So it's like I signed the contract a long time ago, and they pushed it like twice already. So this is the first time they announced it and put it out there. So I'm excited and ready to go.
Nice, nice. And can I ask then, because I know they're doing it quite a bit at the moment, did you actually sign an exclusive deal with the UFC, or is it just for this one match in a moment?
We don't really have no exclusive deals and stuff like that. I just know they contact me and they just asked me if I want to be a part of their show. And we talked about the contract or whatnot, but it's not like a exclusive or anything like that. I'm not sure if they're doing that for anybody else besides like Mikey. I know Mikey got some kind of contract, but I'm not sure if anybody else got something like that. Really, for me, I wouldn't even do it, to be honest, because I like to compete for so many different people, and I just wouldn't want to be like locked into any kind of organization and not be able to compete in events that I would like to compete at, you know?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You're not alone. There's quite a few people that like having the freedom to sort of like take matches on short notice or travel to other places. And like you said, you've competed on pretty much every major show there is so far. Is there anyone that sticks out to you as like your favorite experience, like Polaris, Quintet, anything like that?
Like I feel like I got my battle experience in the big stage like during the EBI era when it was like EBI came out. Obviously, I won the EBI 1 and 2, and then from there I won the 10. So I kind of stayed in that circuit for a little bit. Did a couple like Kasai's and the ADCC trials and stuff like that. So I always been a big fan of like those type of tournaments, like submission only tournaments. EBI was like tailor made for like 10 planet guys because we love to hunt for submissions. We're not really too too crazy about positioning and points and stuff. If we get to finish, that's all that really matters to us a lot of times. So I always been a big fan of just like the EBI circuit, and I love ADCC. I'm a big fan of ADCC, and I watch every event, and I'm a a fanboy kind of, because when I started, I was like, I want to be a part of that organization. It's just like the elite to me is like the best of the best. Only get to compete at that kind of event, and for me, it's always been those two events, like EBI and ADCC Open. Oh, I mean, sorry, not the Open, ADCC Trials or the World Championships. Been my favorite, but also like I love Quintet. Quintet's been really good experience, really fun, really it changed the game. I never competed in an event like that before until I competed. When I competed, obviously at Quintet, that was the first time I ever did a tournament like that. So it was unique, and I had a really good experience for sure. It was tough but fun.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you are right that Quintet pretty much created team grappling. Like it didn't really exist before that, and now it's a pretty big thing. And I know you've done a few other events like Polaris squads as well.
Yeah, Polaris, like they always do a good job. Just like, just like to me, they've been like the European event. Like there, I look at like there's like the Asian events, there's like the Brazilian, the States, and the big event for Europe's always been the Polaris. You know what I mean? Like they always kind of had like a good name and always have the best matches, and they always pay the best and treat you know, um, their grapplers like the best. I feel like they do a good job making sure that we're all like, taken care of really well. And when you're competing and you're traveling and stuff, you it does feel good when everything else is handled, when everything is easy for you just to go out there and compete. And they always done a great job just setting everybody up for those big matches.
Yeah, no, you are right. They have got that reputation as kind of the biggest player in the European circuit. And you mentioned obviously like your early days starting out at EBI, and you were the first EBI champion back at EBI one. Can I ask, because they actually had your division back about a month ago now, was there any
Mm.
particular reason that you didn't enter again? Or
Honestly, Eddie asked me if I wanted the spot, you know what I mean? And like to me, it's almost like, I like I said, I built my name a lot on that event, and a lot of people watched a lot of my matches and see me come up from that event. So it's like almost like it's like even if I win it, even if I do super good and I kill it, it's like I don't really feel like it benefits me in any other way besides like I just get the W and I get some cash or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's not really doing anything for my legacy, And at this point of my career, I guess I'm just trying to compete for matches that make sense, that impact my legacy one way or another. Whether it's just a big match that you know like I took on a great grappler that people wanted to see, or maybe I beat somebody that people thought I couldn't beat, or they were unbeatable, or whatever. Like those type of matches excite me and they get me pumped up. And you know, I train hard for these events and I take them very serious. And they, when I have like EBI or Polaris or Quintet or something, I suck at life and I just focus on the event. So it's like I almost get so distracted that I drop everything else and I just make this my priority, that it takes a lot out of me, and for me to give everything, like all of me into these events, it has to be worth it. It has to like I have to be motivated to be able to level up my legacy and my career in a positive way that I never done before. That's what gets me going, I guess. And EBI, like I love the event, I love the rule set, but it's I already did that. I done that and I done it well and I done it a few times. And for me, it's like, what's next kind of, I don't want to keep going backwards, right? I don't want to keep going back to the events. It's like I want to move forward and do something I haven't done before.
that's a good way to look at it as well. And I think that kind of comes full circle with the Mikey match coming up. Is that one of the reasons that you wanted that rematch? Is like you said, more of like a legacy match sort of thing.
Yeah, like Mikey's at his can be considered at his peak, the top guy in the world. Um, Definitely at my weight class, and he's very consistent, entertaining, has a cool style, and he's a beast. He's hard to beat, and it's a great challenger and a great. It'll feel really good for me if I can beat somebody in that level, or even just like get on the battle that everybody wants to see. I want to do that. And I feel I'm capable of doing that. I felt them before. I know what it feels like, but I also feel like that match means something, not just to me, but to the community, to the world. And that gets me hyped. That gets me pumped up and motivated. When I go to the gym, I'm grinding, I'm rolling with, everybody, and I'll be the first and last guy off the mats. Even though I'm running the classes, I'm still training like a student as well, and I need to have that motivation. And Mikey definitely motivates me because you can't slack against that guy. And I don't wanna it's a good opportunity to have a good match against a legend, another legend that I respect, a young legend. And I gotta really, you know, take it serious and I do. So that's why these kind of events like that, I I want. That's what I seek for.
Yeah, it is a big match. I mean, like you said, it's at the moment Mikey's really hit that sort of like stride where I think it's pretty safe to say that in everyone's eyes he's kind of claimed the top spot in that in your weight class at the moment.
100%.
Can I ask, because like you said, you've had that match. I know it was a few years ago now, but is there anything that you've taken from that that you've sort of like been working on the last couple of months or weeks?
Yeah, like well, I mean, so something just it's not really something I'm working on, but something that does give me confidence is like I felt his bites, I felt his him going for kills and trying to execute these, submissions on me. And, he had some good setups and he came close to some, submissions and I felt the bites, but I know in my head, like I wasn't really in danger anytime. I wasn't really to a point that I was like, man, like afterwards I was damaged or I took some damage and I went home and I'm like, man, like I got beat up or something. I didn't really feel that. I felt like okay the next day. I felt like I was ready for that match again. I was like, because I'm the kind of guy that learns a lot from the first match and tries to really just gain that experience by feeling it. And I felt it. It's like there's no better way to gain experience by, by like for me is the best way to get it is by feeling something, feeling it out. You can watch things a million times. You can watch Mikey compete against the best of the best, do this and that. It doesn't mean I'm gonna be able to stop it or be able to understand what it feels like until you actually feel it, then you can really talk about it and you really could really explain what it's all about. Cause I felt it. I was in it. And I feel I have the one of the only persons in the world that can say like I know I can overcome his best attacks. And that gives me confidence just knowing that I'm not saying that I'm untouchable and that he doesn't have any attacks that can't finish me, but I'm saying that I've been there and I felt it and I feel I can overcome that. And I don't feel like it's unbeatable.
Yeah, and I think what you said about confidence is it's quite a common thing in this sport and in many others as well, where like if you know or if you feel confident that the other person isn't going to finish you or isn't going to be able to submit you, then it allows you to take a bit more risk as well. And
100%.
I feel for you personally, that kind of leads into your style or blends into your style really well because you do take quite a lot of risks anyway. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like it does, like just go. I always tell everybody in my gym, like when we're training, is like, being able to escape positions and survive attacks does develop confidence. It does give you confidence. Like for me, that's the most important part in jiu-jitsu is like knowing I can get out of any position and knowing that that person can't finish me, even if they're in their best position. Like that always gave me positive confidence when I was coming up. Like man, like I got out of that guy's bad position. So even now I put myself like for fun in bad positions all the time at the gym just because I know that that empowers me mentally and physically. I'm like, man, like I'm hard to kill, and I want to be hard to kill. Obviously, like I'm not impossible. Everybody's, capable of getting caught and making mistakes and, getting caught in a submission. I've been caught before, it's like I'm not, perfect or whatever, but I know that if I'm on top of it and I'm really focused, and if Mikey, puts me in some of these positions, I'm gonna be able to, survive or I'm gonna be able to overcome. But I'm not saying I want to be put in those positions. You know what I mean? Like my goal is to avoid those positions and stuff like that. And if it comes down for strategy, like my strategy versus Mikey's, always been the same. Like I want to get to his neck. If I get to his neck anyway, through the back, through the front, whatever, like I feel I can finish anybody in the world. You know what I mean? Like I train with some of the best guys in the world, and they all really solid guys. That a lot of people think they're unbeatable, but I know a lot of these guys, if I grab their neck, they become beatable to me. So that's just something that I always had in my back pocket. That if you roll and you train with me, it's there. And you have to respect it. And I think Mikey respects it. He knows I have good chokes and stuff like that. But Mikey's one of the hardest guys to get a hold of, obviously, because he has such good guard. So, we're gonna have to play. I'm gonna jump in the fire. I know he's gonna bring the fire, and I'm gonna jump in the fire, and I'm gonna try to survive and enjoy it, and have fun in the fire. And he's gonna see that. He's gonna see that I'm happy having fun in the fire, and that's gonna make him think different, I think. So, if he makes some mistakes or if he tries to switch it up while we're in the middle of the match, then he better be ready because I'm hunting every part of that match. I'm gonna be looking for something. People don't understand that like Mikey's hard to get anything going because he's just constantly finding grips and hooks. That like it's hard to get your game going. He's one of the best in the world to do that. But if you overcome that and like kind of like weather the storm, I see him like fade away and that's happened to him the times he's lost, against like Gabriel Souza and stuff. It was like Gabriel Souza just survived the fire for a while, and after a while, like Mikey just faded away, and then boom, he got a hold of his neck, and then that's all she wrote. You know what I mean? I think if Mikey gets put into these really deep waters, he's not he's not the best or as confident as he should be surviving those deep waters because he just hasn't been there enough, and that's understandable, I guess. But for me, that's what I'm trying to do: put him in those deep waters that he hasn't been before.
Nice, nice. So if I've got that right, then you're sort of maybe not necessarily game plan because, like you said, you're going to be hunting the finish relentlessly. But it sounds like you're going to play more of like a pass-in top game, and then looking to, like you said, take back or find the choke when you pass. Is that right?
Kind of right, but like, um, surviving in the fire doesn't necessarily mean I'm passing. I could double guard pull him and counter his leg attacks and counter his grips and with my guard pull and my inversion game too. You know what I mean? So it's almost like I'm not necessarily like it's almost gonna be harder to pass his guard than to like play guard with him. You know what I mean? Like for me, I think that's more realistic. I might try to like wear him down a little bit top and stuff like that. Obviously, I don't like. It's not like I'm like to me. It's not like oh, it's a secret what I'm gonna try to do with him. I don't. I don't. It's not like that. It's like yeah, I'm gonna try to pass his guard, but obviously it's really almost impossible to pass his guard. But I'm gonna definitely make him like feel it. You know what I mean? And if he's if he makes a mistake, I'm gonna capitalize. Obviously, I'm gonna be trying to survive and avoid his attacks and his grips and his hooks. So at times, if I have to go inverted with him to find a good angle to be able to disengage or to be able to avoid certain grips, then I'll do that too. You know what I mean? Like I'm playing. I could play from top or bottom. I'm not really picking one style. I'm just gonna go with the whatever I feel is right. But yes, I'm definitely trying to survive and weather the storm. It could be from top game or bottom game. I don't have a specific or official way I'm gonna do it. I just know that that's something that needs to be done, and I know that his game is he's gonna try to play his game, and I'm gonna try to play my game.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it boils down to as well, isn't it? Is imposing your game plan on the other person and making them play where they're not comfortable, sort of thing.
Yeah, Eddie always told me that. Like my Eddie Bravo, my professor, always he told me this as white belt. He's like, man, like if there's any quote you're gonna, how people put quotes in their gyms and they do all these tags and stuff. He's like, if you're gonna ever put a quote in your gym, the only one that's acceptable is like play your game. He's like, just play your game. He's like, just think about that. Just play your game. He's like, no matter what anybody else is doing, no matter what kind of they're doing, they're going inverted, playing leg locks, they're playing wrestling, whatever. It's like, who gives a just play your game. And that always stuck with me. I was like, yeah, like maybe I might put that in my wall one day, at the gym and just like play your game. It's like, who cares what they're doing? It's like at the end of the day, you can never predict what they're gonna play. Really, you can't, you know what I mean? So it's like the best thing you can do is prepare your game. And then from there, your game should be adaptable as well, but it's your game you're playing and it's your game you're adapting.
Yeah, no, that's I think that's pretty common across all competitors. You know what I mean? It's always about forcing people to do what you want to do rather than what they want to do. And
100%.
you mentioned like coming up under Eddie and training in that sort of like early days of 10th Planet as well. Can I ask, because you were one of the like quickest black belts ever, really? I mean, went from white to black in like 3 years, I think, was that?
Yeah.
So
Three in a couple months. Yeah.
yeah. So what was it that sort of allowed you to progress that fast, do you think? Like, was there anything that you can sort of look back on and think that's what
I mean,
really helped you to level up?
when I got into jiu-jitsu and I discovered jiu-jitsu, I was like around 22, 23 years old, you know, um, and I realized early on, like, um, it's a physical mental sport, it's an art, right? Like being creative is really powerful, but having a physical body that can move certain ways is important, like flexible and strong and great balance and just good like abilities to just control your body. I feel like I understood that early. Like, soon as I started watching MMA or jiu-jitsu, I understood that early on. And I know that I've been training my body my whole life through dancing, through b-boying with my crew, the Freak Show. And that was like my true passion. And that's what I thought I was going to be doing the rest of my life. So I knew when I got into jiu-jitsu that I, like, even though I missed out at training when I was younger, I didn't wrestle or did any combat sports. I knew that maybe b-boying could benefit me in a way that could make me get good at jiu-jitsu faster than others, maybe, But also I feel like just having that battle mindset, like as a b-boy, you want to be the best crew, and you want to be an innovator, and you want to be original, and you want to train the most. You want to put in the most work, you know what I mean? Like underground, like no one sees it, but you're grinding every day, That's what jiu-jitsu people do too. You know what I mean? Like we grind, and you put in work in the lab, and you're constantly training. So I just kind of took the same mindset I had already from b-boying into jiu-jitsu, and I happened to fall into 10 Platinum, which is super similar to already the mindset I had for my b-boying crew, the Freak Show, which was very open-minded, and just learning from everybody, and kind of like not having one specific style, more about just like seeing what was new and adding that into the system, and kind of constantly going with the evolution of the game. And that's really what 10 Platinum was to me. So having someone like Eddie Bravo as a mentor, I respected him a lot, and I never had a mentor ever in dancing. I always had like my crew, my peers, but we never really had mentors. We always kind of did things our own ways, and we learned things the hard way a lot of times. And the road was tough, right? It wasn't easy. It's a lot easier when you have a coach or like a mentor that can guide you. And I had someone like Eddie just giving me all the nuggets, giving me all the nuggets, because Eddie is one of the best minds in the MMA world, So just having him in my corner, and him believing in me and seeing my abilities and owning them, instead of like he just being like, he's good, but that's not jiu-jitsu. He's like, man, that's perfect for jiu-jitsu. Like you have something unique. You and your brother and your crew, you guys are unique, and he embraced that and made me feel special. Made me feel like oh shit, like maybe I am special in Eddie's eyes, and I kind of just like embraced that. And I remember one day telling Eddie like because you hear these things like, oh, BJ Penn got his black belt in 3.5 years, and these guys got their belts in this, and I'm like, I was doing really well in my first year of training. Like I was winning a lot of tournaments, and I was beating, black belts already. Like I was doing well, And I remember Eddie promoted me to like the first year of training. Like I was already a blue belt, but I got a blue belt like in three months, and then I remember like in a year, Eddie promoted me to a purple belt. And everybody's like tripping out. I was like, damn, like you're already a Pro Bowl in a year. And he's like, man, like I don't want to promote you, but like you're killing it, And he's like, just keep doing what you're doing, and like I'm not gonna hold you back, you know what I mean? And I was like, that's all. I want to be the fastest guy to get their 10 planet black belt, from you. And then he got mad at me. Like I remember we're in the like locker room, and he's like, hey Gio, like this is the only time I'm gonna tell you this, and I just want you to remember this. He's like, I don't want you to ever talk to me about your belt promotions. Like I don't ever want you to tell me like about your like when you want to get your belt, how you want to get it, or anything. I just don't want you to talk about that to me. I'm like, all right, like he's never at that point never really had anything like kind of like serious to tell me. So it was like I was like, kind of like, all right, like kind of made me feel like I did something. Like I'm like I didn't really think about it that much at that moment, but I know now as a coach and stuff, it's like I hate when my students talk to me about their belts. It's so annoying, you know what I mean? So I could definitely see just that being something annoying. Whether he's like maybe Gio's gonna be my fastest student or not, it's like who cares? Let's not talk about it. Just do it, you know. So. I just kept training, and I remember just winning these tournaments, and I remember submitting these black belts in front of Eddie, and just like people coming from out of town to train with Eddie, and Eddie's like Joe roll with him, and just like me kind of being like Eddie's enforcer as like a small guy, and having these UFC pro fighters come in, like guys that think they're gonna kill it, and just like sending this small like guy who's only been training for like 3 years, and like and I'm just like no one kind of really knew me at the time, and but like people locally knew me, and everybody started kind of like being like Gio's like the next guy coming up from 10 Planet, and I remember just getting my black belt after like winning a Gracie National or Gracie Worlds, because I remember Eddie's like, if you win Gracie Worlds, like that's everything for me right now. Like at these local tournaments, like Gracie Worlds, like the one that he cared about, because they had the ABI rules and all stuff, and I was a brown belt, and it was like bronze and black belts together at the time, and I just like I entered, and there's a couple black belts, and I beat everybody, I submitted everybody, and then the next day like. I had a feeling Eddie was gonna promote me, because he's always talking about how he's gonna promote after the event, after Gracie. And I was like, I kind of didn't want it though. Like I'm kind of like I'm not ready yet, because at that point I was like, I trained with some other really high level type tier guys, and I got mopped up, and I was like, maybe I'm not ready yet. You know, there's a lot of stuff like my cardio was I was still like partying a lot, and like I just wasn't really like locked in. Like I was like I just felt like I would get these guys were super athletes, and I was like I was a good athlete, but I would get tired because I was like drinking the week or whatever. You know, like I just didn't have the right like I wasn't training my body, the truth and my mind. I just didn't give a and b-boying, you're just like allowed to party and be the best b-boy and battle and battle even drunk. You know what I mean? Like and people you do some shit that's even better sometimes. Not no more, but back then you could. And now it's more Olympic and more like professional, but back then it was more street, more raw, you know, and that's where I come from, like the school of street, you know, for breakdancing and stuff. But jiu-jitsu is a little more organized, more professional, more spiritual, like taking care of your body and doing stuff like that. And like I wasn't there yet, but I had to figure that out, you know. And when I got my black belt that day, I was like really like almost like, man, like, am I ready? I questioned it, and then he's like, oh, and also you're gonna be the invite for EBI one for 10 Planet. I was like, what the is EBI one? And then he broke it down, and then he told me all the people that are gonna be in it. I was like, Jeff Glover and like all these dudes, and I was like, like I'm not ready for that. Like these guys are probably gonna kill me because I felt those high level guys. I think I roll with like the Mendes brothers, and these guys. I thought everybody was gonna roll like the Mendes brothers. So I was like, man, I'm not ready. These guys, that's the black belts I'm be competing with. Like I'm not ready. But now I know the Mendes brothers were phenoms. There's no one like them. You know what I mean? But back then I was like Jeff Glover. Everyone's gonna be like the Mendes brothers, and I was like, I don't think I'm ready for these guys. And I remember having like at the time I was still like you know like I was still broke. I didn't have like a real job, and I was just kind of like we had like a thing called the Fighter House where a bunch of us like the train like lived at, and we just kind of like rented space in this house that we all like. It was only people that train at 10 Planet Oceanside or Vista at the time, and Ben Eddy was there. I remember me and Ben Eddy couldn't even afford a whole like room by ourselves, so we just shared the garage, and like we both had our beds in the garage, and it sucked because everybody would come in there and like do laundry, because we had the laundry in the garage, and all the guys would come in and do laundry, and we were like trying to sleep, but like and but it was like that's what we could afford, and I was like I remember just thinking like man like we both had EBI. He got invited for EBI one too, and he was a purple belt though, and I was a black belt. Like, and I remember we both were like, excited, and like, I remember kind of hurt myself, and like, I would be sleeping, and like, I'll be woken up by the laundry, and I'm like, still kind of like, waking up and hoping that like my knee will feel better, and I'm like, man, my knee still hurts, and like, I will wake up, and I didn't realize at the time, but I was waking up with like anxiety because I was like super nervous. I never before got nervous like this before tournaments because I never competed at like when people really I guess my crew in breakdancing and stuff like that, but like now I had a whole like team worldwide, like I'm representing that and it's like a lot of pressure and I didn't realize at the time, but I was like anxious, you know what I mean? And I would like feel like nauseous and like have a hard time. Every day I would wake up thinking about EBI one, EBI one, EBI one, and finally the day came and you know, like here's the craziest about EBI one is like the same day or no, like pretty much like the day before, the weekend of, we went to Vegas and competed in Vegas for a breakdancing competition. And then the next day, we took like a me and my brother took a bus, a Greyhound, which was like a 6 7 hour Greyhound bus to LA overnight, and we stayed in or we got picked up in LA like early in the morning and then went to the event that day and it was freaking hectic and I ended up winning it and it was just like it was like a and my brother got second place and it was like a and it's documented like there's a documentary one this guy that's a breakdancer guy that films like for b-boy stuff he did this little documentary called Behind the Breaks and he captured me competing at the b-boy event the day before and then traveling and then winning EBI the day after and it's a crazy documentary that like captures like my like turning moment of my life. Like it was crazy, and I watch it every once in a while, and I'm like, this is really interesting, you know what I mean? Because like my mindset was just like so like I didn't give a like I wouldn't do that now. Like I wouldn't do a breakdancing competition and then go to a jiu-jitsu tournament after. That's just not my mindset. Like it's just too much. It's overwhelming. But back then, it's like I didn't even care. I was almost like naive. Like I was like I had nothing to lose, and I just went for it, you know. And like that was like the earliest like I just connected those things because I just remember just like those all those events happening like back to back, like getting promoted, going to EBI, doing that, and then going to Polaris after, getting flown out to Polaris, competing at my first Polaris against like some random like Brazilian like black belt. I don't even remember I don't even know who he is, like. And I remember he was just like running away the whole time, and I put him like in knee bars, and he survived. But I remember I won the match, and like I like had them like most attacks and everything. But it's like I remember just going to Polaris for the first time and being like sick that weekend too, and just being like I can't make up this excuse that I'm sick and I just gotta compete and and just like meeting all the 10 Planet guys from London and like connecting with them over there and like just like my whole journey just like all unfolding like fast and then now I'm here. You know what I mean? Like now I'm here and I run my gym and so it just feels like it was just yesterday, to be honest.
So obviously the 10th Planet affiliation is like a big sort of like overarching theme throughout your career, obviously. And do you think then if you'd sort of walked into a different gym on day one, like a more traditional affiliation, do you think you'd have managed to get to the same place that you are today?
Probably not. You know what I mean? Like I just feel because Eddie just I fell in love with 10 Planet because Eddie showed me what I needed to see, which was like he never held me back. He never like said like just work on your basics, do this and stuff. He's just like he showed me a good foundation. He's like, what would you do from here? What does your body want to do from here? What kind of and then I saw also like the rubber guard and all this flexible stuff that like fits my game, like the truck rolling into the back and like just stuff that made it exciting. I'm like, this is the I want to do. It made jiu-jitsu cool. And so as I look at jiu-jitsu, I'm like, that's not cool. Like when I look at like some gi stuff or like I'm like, that's boring. And like, it doesn't feel like I would be attracted to that. You know what I mean? It feels like school. And I was never attracted to school, but I was attracted to like events, like shows, and like I went to a lot of punk shows and I went to a lot of like uh battles and stuff like that's the stuff I was into. And like that's what like 10 Planet felt like to me more. It just felt like an event, like an event and a movement. It felt like a movement. And I like to be part of movements. You know what I mean? Like I like evolving art, and I feel like 10 Planet was evolving jiu-jitsu and it still is. And I feel like that's the mindset always. Whether now, now 10 Planet is more considered the norm. We're more in the system, like we're accepted now. When I first started, 10 Planet was a little bit, like we weren't really accepted, right? We had like uh, a weird mark on our name, like a bad taste on our name. Like people try to hate on 10 Planet because Eddie was like he he was the anti Gracie, I guess, at one point, but now it's ridiculous. Now everybody loves Eddie. Eddie's super pro jiu-jitsu, all jiu-jitsu. Gracie or not, Eddie's always been a big pro jiu-jitsu. He loves it. It changed his life. He's been a big advocate of spreading jiu-jitsu around the world, So it's like it's weird that at one point when people like thought the 10 Planet was a jiu-jitsu. I was attracted to that though. I kind of like the anti movements. And b-boying, we were like the anti b-boy crew, the freak show. We were like considered like abstract circus style. And we weren't part of the foundation, the traditional status quo, and people didn't like that. But now even b-boying got influenced by the freak show and all these other crews, and they got now b-boying's all open and weird, and people dress up and have their own style and their own uniqueness, which was like at one point looked down upon. And I can say that we're part of that movement as well. You know,
Yeah, I mean, you are right. I think you hit the nail on the head describing it as kind of punk rock. That was like what EBI and what 10th Planet as a whole was originally. You know what I mean? It was really, like you said, like counterculture, like against the norm. And with that same sort of like mindset moving forward, what's next for you next this year? Then obviously looking past the Mikey match, is there any other matches that you want in the future or any other events you got lined up?
like I said, I've been looking for. I haven't been looking for it, but I've been open to accepting like legendary events or like or matches and stuff. And you know, I did IIGA. Eddie asked me if I wanted to be part of the IIGA team, and I ended up doing it. We ended up getting a spot for the World Finals. So I'm set to be part of that team in the World Finals as well. And that's a, big event. It's weird. It's in Kazakhstan. Like, I've never been to Kazakhstan. You know what I mean? Like, it's a unique event, and I like stuff like that. So I always been a fan of like, um, things that are also like international, and I like to travel, to places I've never been to. So that's like a place that I've never been to that will be cool. And then there was I got invited to CJI to be part of the 10 Planet team, and I just officially signed the contract, and they sent me the contract, and yeah, so I'm locked in uh on whenever CJI is coming up. I'll be competing at that too. So I'm just ready to compete at these big events. That's gonna be more like a Quintet style events, which I said earlier, and I mentioned it. It's one of my favorite events I ever done. I don't know why I like taking on that challenge against big grapplers, and who knows who I'm gonna match up against. You know what I mean? Like, I've been, in the past matched up against some interesting opponents, and I've been able to done really well, and that's what I do. Like, I can do good against anybody. That's why my style, my jiu-jitsu, people appreciate, because people that know me, train with me, and seen me in tournaments or train with me like in person will tell you that I'm a small guy that can train and roll with anybody, and I don't make up excuses, and I don't like to, downplay my jujitsu or teach jujitsu that doesn't work against everybody. You know what I mean? So I think people could appreciate and relate, and I think people want to see more of that. So I'm gonna try to do my best to perform at my best. And right now, I still feel my body is doing well. It's holding up, and I can still do these things with my breakdancing body like that other people can do. So I know my body's not broken. I can still do crazy shit that some people will never be able to do, ever. And I'm proud of it, and I earn it. But also, it's a way to keep track of, like, can I still compete? Am I still, like, is my body still good? Like, I can still do crazy shit, like, with my body. So it's really like nowadays is the mind, because, like, the problem is I'm not as hungry as I used to be. I used to just be way more hungry. I used to want to prove myself, and like I said, I will do these events back to back and not even question it. Just do it. Go for it. Like, I'll send it. But now I do hesitate a little bit. I'm more reserved. I'm living a good life. I've been able to um almost like come up from, a bad position in life and society. Like, not bad, like, I was living a good life because I was partying, traveling the world, and people respected me as a dancer and stuff like that. And I was an artist, but in society, I wasn't really productive. I didn't have nothing to show for my talent and my hard work and stuff. And that's something that I realized when I started jujitsu. Like, here's an opportunity to build something, a career through jiu-jitsu. If I excel and I do well and I develop my skill, I could potentially level up in life in another way too. So I also kind of try to set my path along the way, met the right people, made some good connections, made some good moves, and opened up a gym and ran a successful gym. My brother too, we kind of, together run our gyms, and we figured that part of it too. And I was able to, you know, live a life through jiu-jitsu that's a life that I can be proud of, and be able to get back into my community by having a good gym that people could go to and express themselves and level up. Maybe they want to be professional grapplers, or maybe they just want to go spend time with their family and get in good shape and learn how to do the art of jiu-jitsu and develop some confidence and all these positive things that could come out of my gym, that I was able to create and manifest along the way, while trying to also be a competitor and be, a beast on the mats and not slack on training and stay on my toes. I was able to be able to, check these boxes and still be able to, live a good life. So I'm happy. I'm living a happy life, but, like, it's like almost like when you're happy, it's almost like you're not as hungry. You're not like a hungry wolf trying to prove himself, and whatever it takes, I'm gonna do type. You know, whatever I got to do, I'm gonna get there. Right now, I'm just doing it more because I love it and it's fun, and I love building onto my legacy. Hey, Lupin, over here. Sorry, my dogs. I like building into my legacy and continuing like my story. I want to do cool shit that's that's fun and that's entertaining for me too. So these matches, that's why I'm still competing. That's why I still have shit coming up. Because if not, if there was not stuff that made me excited, I wouldn't compete anymore. I'm just excited. That's the only reason I'm competing right now. Like I'm just hyped. And CJI is fun. I'm gonna do CJI because it's an event that, like, if it happens, I'm probably gonna go watch it. I went to the last CJI and I'm like, man, this shit looks fun as fuck. I wish I was there competing. I don't want to be here in the stands watching them. I don't. Even though I'm older now and I already competed, it's like every time there's a new cool event, I can't help want to be a part of it. And I maybe in a year or two I'll be able to say no. But right now, if I get an offer for these cool hype events, they're fun, I'm gonna say yes, and I'll be a part of it because I can't help myself.
No, I think that's a really good position to be in as well. Like you said, even without the hunger side of it, it's still nice to get those opportunities and want to say yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I gotta keep training. So that keeps me training too. I show up in the lab and I try to stay in the best shape of my life, and I feel like I am better version of myself right now. I feel I am becoming a better version of who I was. So if my mind's still working, my body's still going, the energy's still here, the opportunity's still available, then what is it? What's holding me back? You know what I mean? There's been some mental battles, like the psychology battles that were never there before, that as an older grappler, more experienced grappler, you have to deal with, that maybe you didn't have to deal with as much back in the day, or maybe I just for me it's different. It's like I realized, like, I didn't stress out or have like anxiety or anything like that, like, until more in my recent career, which is weird. You know what I mean? It's like, why do I feel this way now? Like, why do I if it doesn't mean as much to me no more, why do I stress out more before the event? Why am I more anxious before I compete? And I kind of went through that battle like the last like 2 years, and I kind of like recently been um more myself again. I don't, like, for this match versus Mikey's, like, I haven't really been feeling any kind of stress. Any kind of, like, I feel more like I just wanted the data. I'm excited for the match, and I know you can sometimes make excitement like become anxiety. And for me, it's like this time, this time around is becoming excitement. And I can't say, some of the last couple tournaments were made me feel anxious a little bit. And I didn't understand why, but I realized it was like just my mindset. So I've been working and improving on that. And I feel like, if anything, like, that's the most difficult part of this journey nowadays, is just dealing with your mind and questioning, why am I still doing this? Like, why am I still putting myself through the grind and going hard every day? And, you know, like I said, like, taking away myself from the real world, real life, and just forgetting about it, and like putting everything aside and just focusing on this batch, jiu-jitsu. Like, why do I do this to myself? Why is this still important to me? And that question is like a constant battle that I've been getting familiar with lately, I guess. It's like a mind, it's like a mind, because it's like I'm over it, but then I'm still like, why do I compete when those days when it's hard, I'm tired, I'm like, why am I still doing this shit to like, but it's like I love doing this to myself.
Nice. No, it's good to hear that you've managed to like overcome that as well, though.
Well, it's like I can't say I'm overcoming it. I'm saying it's a constant battle that I'm able to coexist with.
Right. No, that makes sense. And it's good to hear that you've been able to do that, bro. That's pretty much everything I think we've got time for at the moment, though. Is there anything else you want to say or anyone you want to give a shout out to before I let you go?
No, man, just super excited. Just super excited for these events coming up. Just stay tuned. I know when we compete, when me or my crew compete, we really try to go out there and represent our team and what we're about. So just when you guys see something coming up from anybody from 10 Planet Freaks, just make sure you guys tune in, because I promise you we're gonna go out there and compete with passion and love, and try to represent ourselves the best way we can with style and honor. But, I appreciate everybody that's been supporting us throughout throughout the years, because it really does mean a lot to us, and people like you that give us a platform and just kind of like interview us, like we appreciate that, we really do. And like, um, thanks for getting our word out.
No problem at all, man. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for your time, man, and take it easy. And I hope you wish you the best of luck against Mikey as well.
All right, man. Thank you. See you guys around. Take care.